Breaking news!
Welcome into the PHNX Suns podcast, everybody. That's right, we've got breaking news. It was a wee.
He changed it up.
I want
He
you
forgot
said you
what it
wanted
was.
a remix. Fine. Can we start again?
Yes, go.
Start again.
Wee-oo. Breaking news!
That was a heavier.
That's
yeah,
good.
we
Well,
are
this
breaking
is
news
important.
at puberty.
What was wee-oo. Breaking news!
That's the one.
All right, there we
Honestly,
go.
that's the one. You can't go wrong with that. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Lindsay. That's Saul. That's Gerald. That's Espo. And yes, we have breaking news. The Phoenix Suns
Do we need another one?
Nope.
just a few minutes ago that the team will induct legends Shawn, Marion, and Amar'e Stoudemire into the Suns' Ring of Honor during the 2023-24 NBA season. In addition to the induction into the Ring of Honor, they're also going to retire the number 31 and number 32 jersey as a part of their induction. So this is great news. We've been asking for this for ever, and Matt Ishbia came in and said, yes, you can have that.
It's about damn time.
Yeah.
It's about time. We've talked about it at length several times, and it's just so long overdue. These two individuals were just as valuable a part for that 7 seconds or less Suns team as Steve Nash was, because they were some of the best finishers in the league, especially Amar'e. And then Marion, man, sometimes you would look at those teams and you're like, man, if Marion wasn't on this team, other teams would put up 200 on these guys, because he was the one guy that was so versatile and could defend multiple positions. And it was just, he was just crazy athletic. And so, like, this makes my heart happy. I know a lot of people are excited about this, and Matt Ishbia continues to win the off season.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that was long overdue. It's something we had been pushing for. I think when I first wrote an article about Ishbia taking over, it was a 10-item checklist of things for him to accomplish, and that was on here, and it took him less than a year to do so.
I think he's probably done all 10 in the year.
He might have, because G League team was on there. That's coming 2024 as well. So we're moving right through that checklist. He understands the history of this franchise. He understands what these two meant to the organization. And that's huge. Like, if we could pull up the quote from the press release of Matt Ishbia that he had there. Shawn and Amar'e are two of the very best to ever wear a Phoenix Suns uniform. Shawn changed the game with his elite versatility, and Amar'e was one of the most electrifying players the league has ever seen. Shawn and Amar'e helped define the Suns and inspire generations of fans, and our Suns family is incomplete without them in the Ring of Honor. Like, he gets it. He understands that, like, these are the types of things that you have to fix if you want to build that culture. And every move that he's been making this offseason, from the TV deal to the Ring of Honor to, the G League thing coming next year, it's all in the service of that. And he's lived up to his word in that regard.
Yeah, look, the years of pettiness and cheapness are gone. That's just a fact. Matt Ishbia has come in, and this is another example of it. Because while I was there, we were always like, you should induct Al McCoy into the Ring of Honor. And we were told, well, he has the media center, and we're not spending the money on putting him in the Ring of Honor.
What kind of money?
And he works for us still, so he can't go in. All dumb excuses, right? Mm-hmm. This was all about pettiness and the relationship between Amar'e, Marion, and the previous regime. Now that is all gone. It's put aside. And I don't know how the ceremony, the gift you give, the things you got to do, there's a cost associated to it. But you know what? The goodwill that you're getting back in return for said cost is well worth the investment for me. Both of these guys had everything to do with the last great era of Suns basketball before what we've seen over the last 3 years. Shawn Marion, you could argue, is a top 5 all-time Sun with what he did and the longevity that he did. And he helped revolutionize the game. He's the prototypical guy now. He's what everybody searches for. And in part because of what he was able to do with those 7 seconds or less Suns teams. So I'm so glad to see both of them going in. They both deserve it. Hopefully this brings them back into the fold. Ishbia has done a lot of that with alumni, inviting them back warm welcomes, gift packages when they come with a jersey with their names. And we're not talking the big name guys even. We're talking the Joe Courtneys of the world, guys from way back in the past that were just part of this franchise that they're saying, hey, come back in. We want you here. You're all important to us. The best thing to me, though, they buried the lead in the very last sentence of this, but they're bringing an actual Ring of Honor back. No more stupid ad board that every 15 seconds it's an ad for some lawyer. Sweet James gets an ad in there while the rest of the Ring of Honor disappears for that time. No, we're going to have an actual physical Ring of Honor, a reimagined Ring of Honor. I hope maybe they go with just jerseys in the rafters, a simple kind of thing that the teams have done, that's a little bit more regal, if you will. But I'm glad they're fixing that as well. This group listens to the fans, takes care of them, and does what they've been asking for. I love it.
And don't hold two of the greatest Suns of all time out of money or sheer pettiness in some cases.
Yeah.
A lovely combination of both.
There was a comment from Blaze in the chat that was like, wait, so it was about money? It's probably more pettiness and personal opinion than it was the actual money side of things. They don't receive like actual cash dollars for this type of thing, but usually there is a hefty gift that is involved. And then of course you bring in them, their family, former teammates, you put them up in suites, you wine and dine kind of a thing. So there is a cost associated with it, but not like I have to pay you X amount of dollars because you're now in the Ring of Honor kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Espo, to your point, it says that the organization will unveil a reimagined Ring of Honor this season, and that further details will be announced later this month.
They just moved it one spot above and still made it digital.
Can I? That's what's going on. There is one other way I could lose my shit with this. I don't know if anybody saw the rendering of what the Suns were going to do before to rectify it, and they were just going to slap glorified posters in the area you come into the arena over near the team shop. If that's the reimagined, I'll be making some phone calls. Don't you worry. They'll be getting an earful if that's the reimagined way.
Espo is so passionate about the Ring of Honor, and we appreciate that for him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I care about the history of this organization and winning a championship now. Can't I do both?
Yes.
I just stated a fact.
I'm not mad at you. It was her.
What did I say?
I feel like he said it more some type of way.
I said we're happy for your passion about the Ring of Honor.
I hear the sarcasm.
He's so passionate.
Yep, that voice.
That was sarcasm.
Hey, let's stop fighting and let's have Espo do a Sweet James Cookie Monster read.
Oh, no.
God.
Oh my God.
Me, Sweet James, me official lawyer of PHNX Suns. Me want cookies, and you will get good lawyer in return. Sweet James, take care of you.
Oh boy.
The best part about that voice is it always goes to the two shot where I'm sitting right next to him and I cannot escape it.
Can we go back to the two shot?
Out of the two shot.
Can we go back?
Like I'm trapped here. I can't get out of the shot now.
Hey Gerald, you need lawyer? Me, Nookie Monster Sweet James, take care of you. We get good deal if you in car accident. No chasing ambulances, just chasing cookies.
I legitimately hate Shane for doing that.
I should have left it alone.
So
I love you,
back
Shane.
to the Ring of Honor. Within the press release, the Suns sent out, there were also quotes from Shawn Marion and Amar'e Stoudemire as well. We'll start with what Shawn Marion said. He said, quote, this is amazing to be recognized by the Suns family in this way. The fans in Phoenix are one of a kind, and this city will always be a part of me. My time with the Suns was special, and I'm looking forward to be inducted into the Ring of Honor. Amar'e Stoudemire said, I bleed purple and orange, making this a tremendous honor to be inducted. My best and most transformative years came in Phoenix with the Suns. I have so much love for Suns fans and appreciation for the love they have always shown me. I'm excited to reconnect with the fan base in joining the Ring of Honor. So, Espo, you had mentioned that this is obviously Matt Ishbia doing right by the fans, but I think the bigger side of it, too, is doing right by these two players.
Oh, yeah.
This bridge between the Suns organization and Marion and Stoudemire has been burned for a really long time. I mean, they've gone out of their way to still try to be a part of the organization in ways they can. Obviously, both of them have been on different programs when it comes to the Suns, the broadcast occasionally. But we have all known that it was a broken relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what's most important here, because the fans at the end of the day are the ones who are hurting from this, because they don't get to have that interaction with some of the historic greats who've played for this team. But I know it probably hurt these two guys a lot as well, to have a franchise that they gave it all to basically just shove them to the side.
Well, yeah, and you saw both of them embrace Amar'e, the Knicks, Shawn, the Mavericks, and you're right. This is repairing that. And if you look at those quotes, no mention of the organization.
Fans.
It was all about the fans and the city. And that, I think, speaks volumes to it. But this is the way you do it. If you want to build a true culture, and it's not just blowing smoke up people's ass, it's not just about the 15 guys in the locker room. It's about the whole organization. It's about the fans. It's about the city. And this group, as of right now, through a year, less than a year, what are we, 6 months into this ownership group? They seem to fully understand that and appreciate that. And as fans, we should appreciate that as well.
One of the things that, every time Matt Ishbia does something, one of the first comments you'll see on Twitter is, man, I wish the Cardinals, man, I wish the D-backs, man, I wish the Coyotes, man, I wish this team would have this kind of an owner. And I just keep going back to, it doesn't take much to satisfy a fan base if you just do things the right way, and for so long, I was talking to Espo about like just the culture of Phoenix and the culture of Arizona sports, and how we're always feeling like we're defeated all the time. Like we just can't get over the hump, or the worst things always have to happen. And I'm like, man, sometimes it feels like it starts at the very base level of all this. Jerry Colangelo did everything he could to get a championship to Phoenix, and then he ended up doing it with the Diamondbacks. But since him, it's been largely downhill. Like teams have had a little bit of success here and there, but it has been awful. It has been awful. And Matt Ishbia is coming in and he's revamping the whole thing, and he's kind of setting the template. And honestly, it's great because it feels like he's setting those other owners up for failure. Like, this is how I do it. And if we win a championship or two, that's awesome. This is how you should do it. And everybody else, you better step up your game, because the fans here in Arizona deserve it. And this is something that the fans have been clamoring for. Ishbia just seems like he hears what the fans are saying. He understands the culture of Phoenix Suns fans, and it's a big deal. And Sarver never got it. He never understood it. He was very, considerate to himself, and that was it. He didn't care about anybody else. This is the best way to go about doing it. So he's setting the example for everybody.
Well, it's because Ishbia doesn't look at the Suns as simply an investment to make money off of. He understands that the Suns represent something far greater than just a money-making organization. It's an entire city, an entire state, the whole, even worldwide, because we all know that there's fans all across the world. But it's for the fan base. It's not an investment for your portfolio to look a little better and make you some more money. And that's the problem with a lot of owners we see in all leagues across sports, is that they treat it as if it's an investment property, something that they can just cash in on. And that was one of the things that Matt Ishbia said from day one. We're not going to be worried about making money. We know that the money will follow when success is brought to the team.
Right.
And success looks a lot of different ways, not just winning on the court.
Well, and he referred to them as stewards of the Phoenix Suns, not the owners, that this is everybody's team, and they're just here to shepherd it for the time being. And I feel like they put their money where their mouth is there.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to these nights. We're going to have separate nights for each one, so they each get their own night, because this is a major way to build those bridges back between the organization and two of the all-time greats that we saw. One of them retire as a New York Knick. We saw another one show up in an NBA Christmas commercial as a Dallas Maverick. Like, those were embarrassing moments for this franchise and for just how frayed those relationships were. So it'll be nice to have them in the building again, to have the fans be able to finally show their appreciation for them in this way, and hopefully, see the jersey go up or however they're going to reimagine it.
Light up the portion of the digital board that isn't an ad at the moment.
Exactly. It's going to be a cool moment for the fans and hopefully for them as well. And maybe moving forward, we'll get to see them more involved and present in this Suns community and family.
Well, it only feels right too. On the off chance that this is the year that this team finally breaks through, right? Don't you want all these grievances put in the past? Don't you want, if you win, that to be a moment where everybody that's had their fingerprint on this organization, that they all can can celebrate in it, enjoy a piece of it. Like, I'm glad this is happening now with how stacked this team is and the potential that's on the horizon too.
Yes. Devin Booker is also really excited. He tweeted out right after the announcement was made, Matrix and Stat, much deserve, appreciate y'all. Devin is the type of guy too who understands the history of the organization and actually cares about it. Like, we've seen that throughout his entire tenure here with the Phoenix Suns. Like, he knows his Suns history, he appreciates it, and he cares about it in the same way that fans do.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that when he brought the jersey over to Al after, I forget which record it was he broke, but like, he knew, he gets it. I appreciate that about him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there was a question in the chat, or a comment that said they should retire their jerseys as well. They are. If you missed that off the top of the show, Marion's number 31 and Stoudemire's number 32. Those uniform numbers will officially be retired as a part of the induction.
No number one.
No number
for
one,
Mario?
though, but
No.
we all know why.
I think we're good with that.
Book would have had a different response if that were the case.
There's love on both sides. Okay, I'm sure that it was a no-brainer. Just like, yeah, no, I get it. Number one can stay. Yeah, I'm sure. Absolutely. All right, listen, guys, summer's almost over. So Suns basketball is right around the corner. Obviously, we're continuing to get really cool news for the upcoming season. We'll have the schedule soon. That means if you want to take a road trip before everything tips off, you got to do it sooner rather than later. And you got to make sure you're stocking up on premium gas, the best coffee, the best snack selection, and of course, Polar Pops at Circle K. Circle K is where it's at for all your road trip needs. So make sure you're not missing out on all the great stuff they have to offer. Plus, right now, if you text PHNX to 31310 to join their SMS subscriber club, you're going to get a buy one, get one free offer on 32-ounce Polar Pops. So don't miss out. We love a good coupon.
2 friends, 1 light. That's what Saturday Neon's all about. 2 guys.
Come on, man.
2 guys started a company, and they bring you some of the best neon lights you can imagine, especially if you're a big U of A fan. So check them out at
No,
Saturday.
I don't want to be on the 2 shot now.
Yeah, don't
So
feel
I
good. does
remember
it?
my nights, Saturday nights down at U of A, 2 guys, 1 light. It was
What the hell?
listen, and you can save yourself some money by using promo code PHNX to save yourself 10% off on any order over $200 by going to SaturdayNeon.com to get yourself a light with your friends.
Also, our friends over at Burrito Express, they have fantastic food. They're also really great people. Highly recommend you check them out. They have multiple locations across the valley. Of course, the one that we visit the most often is the one in Tempe because it's so centrally located. They're a fantastic group of people. They support ASU athletics and athletes. They care about the community and they care about the quality of food they are putting out. The green salsa is the best, by the way. So make sure you grab a burrito and follow Burrito Express on Twitter at BurritoEXP. All right, guys. So we also got some word today on Twitter about 2K24. We got Book's rating and we got KD's rating. So first and foremost, we'll start with the rating for Kevin Durant. He is at a 96. I feel like
Boy's
this
looking
is
yoked
pretty
up.
solid.
They fixed it though. He's not quite as bulky as he
No,
was
look at his
yesterday.
neck. It looks thick as hell.
You missed
You missed
yesterday.
the picture
He's still-
yesterday. He was real.
He's
real
still got
beefy.
that like Thanos neck. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on. It's wild.
I
The
mean,
not so slim Reaper right now.
No.
and then Devin Booker, his rating this year is a 94, which I believe last year Book was 92. So he jumped 2 points. And I think that's a pretty good move for Book. A lot of people were, I don't know, there were mixed reviews for Devin's rating on 2K because, again, last year was a 92. I think it's because Luka's a 95 this year.
So is Brown.
And it always
Luka's-
seems
yeah.
like, yeah.
Luka's 95, Jimmy Butler 95, Jason Tatum 95, Joel Embiid 96, LeBron 96, Giannis 96, KD 96, Steph Curry 96.
So it always seems like Book is just one step behind, even though he probably shouldn't be.
Devin Booker's
should-
better than Jimmy Butler.
Hold on though. Like he's 2 points from the highest rating in the game.
Well, I
Like,
think Nicola's
Is Nikola
he's higher
than
than
okay.
96, but
But
His
still,
was 98?
he's
I
with
think so.
he's
Yeah.
within shouting distance of the best ratings in the game.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
you wanna quibble about Tatum and having that 1 point. Fine. You know, you want to quibble about Luka, but this is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You know, usually you see maybe a 2 point swing in a season for these kind of guys. He could be right there with the best guys in the league by the end of it.
And when Blaze Megatron pointed it out, this is the highest he's had starting a season. I was laughing because somebody said, as far as Jimmy Butler, like he should start at a 90 during the regular season, and then for the playoffs he goes to a 99.
Yeah, then so the finals he goes to a 91.
Right.
So says Jay
fair.
says Luka's a 99 in donuts. I can't say that kind of stuff. But
Have you seen Luka lately?
he's a
He's
little
looking.
thinner.
He's looking a little trim.
He looks.
He's looking a little trim.
looks
I
pretty
saw
good.
the funniest thing today was start bench cut Devin Booker, Luka Doncic, and like
It was Jason Tatum, I think,
Jason
right?
Tatum. But the middle picture for Luka was James Gordon. And I was like, oh my God, they do kind of look alike.
Oh my God, they do not.
Did you guys
Stop.
see the other ratings that dropped today
No.
for us?
No.
You didn't see any of them?
No.
Ooh.
What
Let
ratings
me just
for
pull
us?
them up. So first we have Gerald.
Oh man,
Gerald was a 97.
97 rating?
That's
no,
insane.
no, that's not his overall. That's his girth rating.
Oh, girth rating. Okay.
That's a little low then.
Gerald gets a 97 girth rating, and then we'll go to
Jesus
Espo.
Christ, what kind of photos?
Espo's got a 92 overall sacks rating.
Hold on, you found like the.
If you
This-
find,
this is
dude,
like-
if you did me dirty, Shane, I
That's
swear.
amazing.
This is like a 12-year-old photo
Oh, man.
from when I worked for the Suns.
That's fantastic.
Nice look there.
Yeah, so 92 sacks playing for Espo, and then for let's go Lindsay first because we'll save the best for last.
Oh,
Lindsay's
no.
got a 98 sassiness rating.
No, that's true.
Almost
She is sassy.
almost a 99, but the 199 goes to Saul's swearing tendency.
Oh, yeah.
The 99
Yes!
overall.
That's facts.
It's facts. Facts.
I also
That's
like
awesome.
that picture of you, Saul. When was that taken?
It was only taken 6 years ago.
It's only 6.
Listen, I feel like these are pretty spot on, Shane. I'm not going to
Yeah,
argue
yeah.
with you on any
I
of them.
didn't make these.
I thought it was fair.
Just this is 2K.
I'm going to thank Ronnie 2K.
Yeah, thanks,
well,
Ronnie.
These 2K ratings for the PHNX Suns squad
I love it.
on point. On
Good
point.
stuff.
Honestly, Espo, I'm on your team. Like, I understand that Devin always kind of gets the short end of the stick in the conversations around whatever it may be, the Suns as well. But I think people are starting to give a little bit. And we got to start somewhere, right? Like, you got to start somewhere. At least Devin is starting to get more respect. The Suns as a whole are starting to get more respect. We see it in the ratings. We see it in the rankings, the way that people are talking about this team and what their potential can be. Like, we've begged for years for just a crumb of respect from anybody in a national sort of space and who's not local here in Phoenix and doesn't pay attention to the game on a regular basis. We're starting to get it, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing for all of the guys on this squad.
And look, I think health willing, Book will be a 96, by the end of the season with KD. I mean, or I could see KD less, but Book will be right up there by the end of the season.
I'd agree.
Well, you saw it in the chat.
There's you guys in the comments are so
Are we talking about Brian?
yes. Oh my
Can we
god.
read it, Saul?
Go ahead.
Brian says, scroll up here. It said, I didn't know at Saul used to be a youth pastor. Cool. Don't look at the photo.
I don't think I look like a youth pastor. Also, pray for those kids because
I was going to say that.
They're gonna learn a lot of bad words this
hey, Jesus wouldn't trust Saul. I know that.
It looks. Damn.
I want that shirt. Jesus wouldn't trust Saul.
Oh man.
Oh no.
man.
I was thinking more like ITT Technical Institute, like an ad.
So I look smart.
Yeah.
I look like I would be trusted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt it just looked like I thought it was the photo
And
of you
software.
going to your Bally Sports interview. Like it felt.
I was actually at a Lakers game for that
all
one.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Speaking of the respect that the Suns and Book are starting to get, Bleacher Report has decided to rank the best duos in the NBA. And here's what their ranking looks like as of right now. In 5th, they've got Kyrie and Luka. 4th place, they've got LeBron and AD. 3rd, they've got Jokic and Murray. 2nd, Giannis and Drew Holiday. And 1st, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker.
Okay.
That's dope.
Let me defend. God, this hurts.
Oh,
Espo.
man.
What are you doing?
No,
Come on.
What are you about to
no.
do?
Oh, he's
I'm
gonna
not
do
doing
it.
what you think,
He's gonna
but I
do
am
it.
going to.
He's gonna do it.
Okay, let me defend Denver for a second.
Oh,
Giannis
my
and
God.
Drew, no, they're not above Book and KD, all right? But Giannis and Drew above Jokic and Murray, who just won the title, and I think are a better duo overall anyways, is kind of crap in this list.
That was a face, Gerald.
I don't know. I mean, they're pretty even to me. I get giving more respect to the team that won the title most recently, but it's not like Giannis and Drew have not won a title either. So if we're doing it by that, they're pretty close. It's tough with Jamal Murray because, like we've talked about, he's a playoff riser. Like, he elevates his game in the postseason substantially. But like we talked about it the other day, during the regular season, Nuggets fans have the meter. Like, is it good Jamal Murray? Is it bad Jamal Murray? So he's kind of like a Jimmy Butler, a guy that like goes through the motions in the regular season. Playoff time, he elevates his game, so he's hard to rank. And look, I understand Nuggets fans are upset that they're number 3 on this list, but like, the whole reason they won the championship is not just because of Jokic and Murray. Like, the reason they won is, yes, those two were fantastic, but they also had really substantial contributions from guys 3 through like 8 or 9 on their roster. Like, they were a really deep, really stacked team. So I don't understand the anger over having your top 2 ranked 3rd in the NBA. Like, before this season, would we have ranked them there? Probably not. They might not have even been top 5.
I think the anger is Jamal Murray's better than Drew Holiday in my mind. And
it depends on what.
Maybe you claim Giannis is slightly better than Jokic.
I think the point here is that they both have tendencies to be inconsistent.
Yeah.
And that's why the Suns with Booker and KD are the most consistent of those three duos, in my opinion.
Not if you listen to Denver, but yeah.
Well, Denver's obviously they got their own thing going on, but that's why everybody else in the world ranked them 3rd, because you can't see it for yourself, buddy.
Whew.
You know what though? Number 5 is the worst, because if you're gonna put Luka in there, it's Luka and complaining, Luka and flopping, not Luka and Kyrie.
What about Luka and the refs?
Well, they are in love
was that
with
a little
each
too
other.
spicy?
So yeah, Luka and the refs.
Too out there for that one. I don't know, but all I know is we did get a comment in the chat from, where did it go? Joe said, respect from Bleacher Report is rare, ... And I mean, like, again, the respect factor here, that's amazing to see, to put Kevin Durant and Devin Booker at number 1, not because they're not deserving of it, just because oftentimes people want to belittle the work that those two put in, mostly Devin Booker, but the fact that he's still on this list is pretty cool.
Musab Abdi said, Drew is overrated. LOL. He shits the bed every playoffs. He didn't shit the bed against us.
Right. And
I'll tell you that right now.
Someone else in the chat had said, what have they done lately? It was only 2 years ago they won a title. I promise our attention spans don't have to be that short.
We're in a 24-hour, 24-second attention span now. Like,
I get it. They're the 1 seed. They got knocked out by the 8 seed. Super embarrassing. But like, they've also already won a championship. So I don't know. I feel like if we're just talking duos, they got it right with the number 1 duo, and everybody after that, you could make a case for being in 2 through 5. Like, it's all subjective. We have a ton of talent in the NBA, and I'm okay with that.
What about Chris Middleton?
I think that was the biggest thing that a lot of people were bringing up too, is like, is it Giannis and Drew, or is it Giannis and Middleton?
It's because Chris was like injured for a lot of the season, and he kind of struggled coming back. They brought him off the bench for a lot of the last year, so I feel like it's probably just like a recency bias thing from last season.
Yeah,
I think Drew made the All-Star team too, so that's probably why.
And then I also think when you look at Book and KD, as far as just like talking about duos and not the entire team, like, this is not to belittle or discredit what the rest of the Suns squad did last season, because they held their own. But Book and KD were really the 2 drivers of our playoff run last year. They were...
Shit, you could say they were the only drivers of our
I'm
playoff
trying
run
to
last
be
year.
polite.
Naming one other person.
Where was anyone else in the car?
But to your point, Gerald,
they were like, where the fuck did everybody go?
Denver had really big contributions from everybody within their playoff rotations, where for the Suns, they relied very heavily on these 2. And they were still able to steal a couple games from Denver, which a lot of other teams were not able to do. And I think you've got to give credit where credit is due there. And then also, when you look ahead to this upcoming season, the fact that they've had more time now, they're going to go through a training camp together, have an entire regular season together, and a pretty much brand new squad around them, things might look a little bit different by the end of next season.
Maybe.
And that's what we're hoping for.
Expand the thought experiment. One additional person. You have Bradley Beal in. Is it the best trio as well? I mean, like, I feel you have to be if you're a duo, and then you're adding in Bradley Beal. I mean,
it's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
The only one that would be close would be the Milwaukee one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Just for something I was thinking.
Yeah,
What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. We should probably pulled out our shady raids for this segment because we threw a lot of shade at a lot of people. But you can always get your hands on some shady rays by checking them out online at shadyrays.com.
Sorry, I'm just reaching.
For what?
I got you. I got you.
Ignore him.
Just keep going.
Keep
Keep
reading.
going.
I was interested in what
I
you were
just
saying.
threw some shade at you.
You were interested in what I
was
had to say. Thanks, Gerald. Anyway, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Ray is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com. Use code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
This guy comes in with the 2 friends, 1 light, and then he's throwing shade.
You know it's not shady?
What's that?
4 Peaks.
Okay.
What the fuck does that even mean?
I don't know. It beats two
Is that
two
were
guys,
you
one
throwing
beer
shade at my
stein.
transition?
Yes.
Like,
Of
just now
all
got
days
that.
for you to throw
It
shade.
was a Shady Rays
me.
ad read, so I figured I'd throw some shade.
hey, you know what?
Wow.
2 guys, 1
Bold.
beer stein. 4 Peaks.
No,
You act like you said shade, and then you act like people buy beer on the underground or something.
I don't know if you got bad taste.
This
Maybe you
ad
are.
coming
Oh
to
my
you from
God.
the Prohibition era. This is like the second time Max has had to come out here and supervise our ad read. We might
Max
be
is
going
like,
for
you're
a
all
record
going to get a
today.
strongly worded email after this show. Every single one of you.
You see, if you're buying your beer in Prohibition.
Oh God.
Anyways,
I want to go away with that. I want to free those kids.
our friends over. If you want to crack a beer open and celebrate the fact that Amar'e Stoudemire and Shawn Marion
There we
are
go.
out
There
of
you
Suns
go.
purgatory,
Nice.
let's do it tonight with a great 4 Peaks. All right, any of them. Peach ale, the pumpkin porter I heard is back. That's one of my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
A tea shot. I don't care what you grab. Crack it open. Cheers to the fact that they're in the Ring of Honor. And enjoy that 4 Peaks beer because it is the best you're going to find here in the Valley. Make sure to check out at 4 Peaks Brew or 4 Peaks Pub on social to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 years or older to drink 4 Peaks. Please drink responsibly and don't buy it in a back.
How awesome would it be during Halloween if you had a pumpkin and then you served it with or just as maybe a table decoration, right?
Mhm.
Right. But you also had like a pork sandwich because I love pork sandwiches.
Mhm.
You can call it the pumpkin porker. Sorry, damn it.
You couldn't even.
We couldn't have workshop that
Yeah.
privately off
Why
the air.
isn't it a pig that you shove a pumpkin pie in and you serve it?
As soon as I started, I went together. Damn it! I ruined my own joke. Son of a bitch.
I'm apparently contagious because what if we turned solid?
I know. It's
Working
so
on his
bad.
type 5 up here.
So bad.
Tried so
So terrible.
What's the deal with it?
I'm so embarrassed. Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
Oh.
BetMGM. The BetMGM
2 guys, 1
Sportsbook
sportsbook app. All
at
right.
State Farm Stadium is an elite sportsbook. The BetMGM Sportsbook app is also an elite sportsbook app. You should definitely sign up for BetMGM and make sure you use that bonus code PHNX. There's a few different offers depending on where you live. But for our Arizona audience, place your first bet offer and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it
I got
loses.
something
Are
too.
you reaching
No,
again?
I
What
got
are you-
something. I
He's
got
like-
something. I
like,
really
listen,
need her
listen,
attention.
Listen, Lindsay.
Folks,
Listen,
I have
Lindsay.
breaking news for you all right now, okay? This season for Cardinals season, home games, we're going to have a tailgate. And the tailgate will be free to all diehards and every diehard that also downloaded the BetMGM Sportsbook app by using promo code PHNX.
Okay.
You have to have both, but you get free food, you get free beer for every single home game. What is there? What else is there to think about? You
Nothing.
got to do this.
It's
Do
a
I get free
no-brainer.
beer?
Yes.
I heard some Primo Barbecue. So I'm in.
Yeah.
I
Hey.
heard the Nucky Monster's going to be there.
No,
It's
No,
It's
no,
Nuki Monster.
no.
Jeez.
You can check out the show notes for full details on BetMGM. And now you can listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
that?
Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-522-4700 Nevada. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., Kansas, Nevada, New York, or Ontario.
All right, guys, we're going to continue on our conversations that we've had over the last couple of weeks about Phoenix Suns newcomers and re-signees. The Phoenix Suns did announce last night that they have officially signed free agent center Udoka Azubuike to a two-way contract. James Jones said, quote, Udoka possesses imposing size and the ability to finish around the rim. His strength and physicality help add to our team's depth. Now, James Jones is not lying when he says his imposing size. Udoka, he's 23 years old. He is 6'11" with a 7'7" wingspan. Not to mention weighing in at 270
Weighing in at
pounds.
275 pounds from Kansas center, Udoka Azubuike.
Yes.
Is James Jones' new kink wingspan? Because if you looked at this roster, I mean, that's a lot. These are guys that all have pretty massive wingspans, all right? And this is another guy that you had in only 23. For me, this is a signing I would have been a lot more excited for if you had the G League team in place, because I talked to one of his former coaches in Utah. He said this is a guy that needs to be fed the ball. He needs a good point guard with him. This coach questioned the Suns' play at point guard this year. Leave it as you may, but he's somebody. If you were able to put him in a G League environment that ran your system, give him the reps, those kind of things, I'd feel a lot more excited.
Can we go back to that graphic, please?
Yep, I love the strength, number
the
one.
strengths. The first one, built like a walking fridge with Groot arms.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
the type. Those are the type of
Fridge.
descriptors you can get if you subscribe and become a diehard at Go PHNX, because that was in today's article as well.
Saul obviously read that one closely.
Yep. It's fine. But
I was a little busy today, Espo.
no, the 7'7" wingspan is insane. It's the second biggest in the NBA, I believe, behind Mo Bamba, and that's it. And he, to your point, he is a guy that would benefit from G League reps. That's where he spent the majority of his time in the NBA over his 3 seasons in Utah. He's very raw. He's a guy that is insanely efficient around the basket. I think he's taken like 125 shots over the last 2 seasons, and he's only missed 21 of them because they're all right around the basket. People are not going to challenge him often above the rim because, again, he's like 280 and 6'10" with those long ass arms. Like when he gets the ball in the dunker spot, it's pretty much an automatic 2 points. He's extremely limited outside of that. Like he's been working on a hook shot, but that contributed most of his misses last season, and it's not very confident looking. He sets really good screens, but he doesn't have a handle to speak of. He doesn't have a jump shot. I think he took 3 jump shots all of last season.
But he dunks the ball.
But he dunks the ball. He
so
dunks
after
it hard.
preseason, people will be calling for him to play major minutes.
Yeah, he's a guy that's a 2-way signing for a reason. But again, only 23 years old. He hasn't gotten very many reps in the NBA. I think he's only played like 68 games total in his career. So hopefully they're able to get the G League thing going and maybe see what he has to offer. At the very least, he's a big body in practice for the big men to just play physical. Like they need some physicality. Frank Vogel's talked about them being a scrappy team. And Udoka's a guy that's going to challenge shots at the rim. He's going to be a threat. A vertical spacing threat is the term we keep coming back to with guys like Metu and Drew Eubanks. So he kind of fits the prototype of what they've been targeting all offseason in the front court. But just don't expect too much outside of those things that I already mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 2-way player, like you said, for a reason. But going back to the G League thing, I do think it's interesting because teams can send 2-way players to play for other teams' G League squads just to get some run-in, some playing time. But it seems as though in the last couple of years, the Suns have kept those 2-way guys with the actual team.
Yeah, because
which I do think is a beneficial alternative, if you will, to sending guys to another team's G League squad because they're not running the same things. Like, it's just not the same system all the time, and you don't have control over it in the way that you would of your own. Do you expect that to be the same this year until they do get their own G League team?
I'm curious about that because I'm not sure if that was like a Monty thing or a Suns thing. But the G League guys were always practicing with the team. They were always there. I think it's because the rules loosened as far as how many days you could spend practicing or playing with the team before you had to go back to the G League. I'm curious if when they get a G League team, if that changes at all or what. But so far, they have 2 of their 3 G League spots filled. I would assume Saban Lee spends a lot of time with the team and probably Udoka as well. But we'll just kind of have to see. Maybe it's a coaching thing, especially because, like, as we mentioned, they don't have a G League team that's nearby. Right. And I think part of the benefit of that two-way part in sending them to the G League is the convenience of being able to call them back at any time.
Well, and also if you send them to another team's G League, it's not your system. It's not your people. It's like paying for a babysitter that you just met or sending your kid to a family member. Like, who are you going to trust more? Usually, in most cases, and depending on who your family is, you're going to trust the family member more than the person that you just met that you're paying to watch your kid. And essentially, that's what you're doing. You're sending your G League guy to somebody else's team, somebody else's doctor, somebody else's coaches, and going, well, we hope this turns out all right. So
yeah. So, but we'll get a G League team by next season, right? That's the cutoff for all teams to have one. And regardless of that requirement, didn't the NBA send out a requirement?
I don't know if it's a requirement. It was just an announcement that they expect to have a G League affiliate for all 30 teams by 2024.
For some reason, I thought it was a requirement. I mean, regardless, Matt Ishbia told us again day one that that's something he was going to invest in. Right. But by next season, we should have one. But it was funny. There was somebody in the chat who was like, I don't even know who's on our team anymore. There's been a lot of moving pieces. And then we got an additional 2-way spot this year as well. But joining us now to talk more about Udoka is Ben Dowsett, NBA features writer at ESPN and former Jazz writer. Ben, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
Doing well, guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Just kind of give us an introduction. What can you tell us about Udoka and what we can expect?
Well, I don't know how much of it you've already gone over, but I would advise folks to keep their expectations relatively limited, as one should for a player who's being signed to the type of contract that Doke is. Do you guys know about the Doke nickname?
No.
That's what he goes.
I do.
Doke. It's really simple. It's in his name. So he goes, Doke is what I believe his teammates usually end up calling him. So you'll probably be referring to him by that at some point.
What guy has a nickname that's just based on his own name? Like, just in his own name?
I mean, isn't that
a lot of them are, I feel like. Book.
It's an internal making a cell phone.
That was a bad joke. Keep going.
So look, this is a guy who coming out of college had really fantastic numbers. He played 4 years at Kansas. He broke a lot of the statistical, the people who do analytical draft models. He was at or near the top in a lot of those. And some Jazz fans may not be huge on Udoka, and some of that isn't his fault. Some of it is because when he was drafted, Desmond Bane and Jaden McDaniels were both sitting on the board at the time, and the Jazz had a clear need for a wing player, and they had 2 centers. They had Rudy Gobert and they had Derek Favors at the time, and chose to draft Udoka. Didn't end up working out so well. That said, he has some skills that at least touch on being NBA skills. The biggest one is catching and finishing around the hoop. He's a very efficient finisher around the hoop. He can catch the ball. I wouldn't say he's got the best hands or anything for a center, but they're not bad. He can catch the ball. He's got a decent radius. His arms are very long. And he's got good timing in the pick and roll. I wouldn't call him an excellent screen setter, but he knows where to be. His footwork is reasonable. He also has improved significantly, although he's coming from a place that I think was fairly low, he has improved significantly as an interior defender, particularly with fouls. When he first started, I believe his foul rate when he came into the league was like 7 per 100 possessions or something like that. Yeah, 7.7 personal fouls per 100 possessions in his rookie year. A little much there. He's cut that like in half, roughly, I think, to last year. If I'm not quite in half, but he's cutting it down to like 4.5 per 100 possessions. He's gotten better at not getting so fooled by craft. Any players who have got craft when they get into the lane, any types of fakes. He bites at a lot of stuff. He does still foul a bit too much, but he's improved significantly there. And then rebounding, at least from a box out perspective, he's I would say he's about an average rebounder from a box out standpoint. When you get into, and I don't know how deep you guys want to go and everything, but when you get into the whole leaving your area to get rebounds and how much do you improve your teammates as a rebounder and that whole thing, some of it tends to break down fairly heavily. But in terms of being able to find his own man and box that man out, he's good at that. He's got the size to do it. He's diligent about it. He tries. On the flip side, his teams have never had success rebounding the ball on either end of the floor. They've never been a good putback team, which Vag was actually he's got good raw offensive rebounding numbers, but they never actually translate to his team is efficient on the offensive glass or is doing good things. Also, his teams tend to be really bad in transition, suggesting perhaps that he's chasing sometimes when he shouldn't be. Now, that's, of course, something that a good coach and a good scheme can kind of get into. He also is not a particularly good rim protector for his size in terms of the actual efficiency he allows. He's allowed over 60% as the primary rim defender. That's per tracking data over on NBA.com. Each of the last 2 years, those are not good numbers for those who don't spend their days looking at those numbers. They're not very good. Your good rim protectors are in your mid 50s, even low 50s for some of the best rim protectors. He's in the 60s. It's not where you want to be. He has decent block numbers, but a lot of that is, as I noted, he bites at a lot of stuff. He's better than he used to be, but he'll jump around the gym a bit. Guys who are good with craft and good with fakes can get him out of position, can draw fouls on him, can finish sometimes over him because his positioning isn't always great. And then, other than that, he's fairly limited. He's your very traditional center. He's probably going to have trouble defending in space if there are any of those kinds of situations. And you keep in mind that all those numbers that I've given you here are against backups or even often in garbage time over the last couple seasons. So if those are the best that he's been able to do, one wonders what his success rate will be at the full-on NBA level.
I'm curious because you mentioned the defending in space thing, and that was something that stood out to me, like looking through some of the advanced numbers on like the B-ball index and stuff. Like his percentiles on the perimeter were like really low. I am curious because it seems like a lot of these flaws are things that, especially for a guy in a two-way contract, he might not see the floor very much. Were you kind of surprised that the Suns picked him up on a two-way? How do you see that fit working out?
I'll be honest. I not just the Suns. I was surprised that he earned a two-way contract from anyone. And that's, again, I want to be clear. I'm not like a perfect analyst. I could still have some of that bias from when he was drafted and that whole thing going back that clouds my view of him to some degree. And he had moments last year. Even I remember he had, a week or two here or there where it's like, hey, Dokes had to get some minutes because Whiteside's hurt or whatever, or even the year before. And it's like, hey, he played kind of okay during, he had some stretches here. He looks like a guy, and then he'll have stretches where he's really not. The biggest thing for me is, look, you can be a traditional center and have trouble with some of those things we're talking about, Gerald, like moving in space on defense, those kind of, obviously he can't shoot from outside about 3 or 4 feet. You can do those things. The Jazz now have another center who is pretty much that. The issue is, and this might be an issue for the Jazz's, the center who does that as well now too, he's a 50% free throw shooter. Mm-hmm. So if you're really good at catching and finishing lobs and rolling to the hoop, which he is, he's got vertical gravity. It's real for sure. And he's a reasonable rebounder, and he can certainly put the ball back up and in when he gets a rebound. You can do that if you can also protect the rim, but we just went over how that's a bit of an issue for him. And if you can stay on the floor, which if and when he gets minutes, teams are quickly going to realize, this guy's a killer lob threat. Well, let's just foul him before he dunks on us and make him a lot less efficient. So I was a little surprised to see any team go after him, but frankly, a team like Phoenix that's got fairly limited resources, as we know, and just has some spots that they have to fill, they actually strike me as the type of team. And I also don't want to say he's finished. He's 23 years old. We've seen guys make changes, go into different environments in their careers. I don't want to eliminate that as a possibility. I don't think he's going to get any faster on the perimeter or anything like that, but there are little parts of his game. If a new coaching staff thinks they can improve his reads and his recognition as an interior defender, he could really up his game there. And all of a sudden, if this guy is even just takes a couple steps as a rim protector, even just that allows you to be like, okay, he's our traditional guy who plays 8, 10, 12 minutes a game, we know that we're not going to die on the boards or get destroyed at our own rim with him on the floor, and then we'll just live with all the other stuff. Even a little thing like that could really change the prognosis for him.
I mean, let's be frank. He's likely not going to play a lot of minutes, but how is he as a locker room guy? Because that's going to be a big part he plays. Cheerleader. I mean, so how is he as a person?
That's true. I will confess, I haven't been around the actual like day-to-day beat as much in the last couple of years with the Jazz, so I can't say I'm like an expert on that. I know that he was generally well respected. I think the Jazz's whole thing was like guys only got nicknames when they were like considered part of their group or whatever. So I certainly never heard anything and you never heard anything as far as like, oh, he's not working hard enough or he's not trying to develop this skill or that skill or whatever it is. Frankly, it was just unfortunate. It was injuries. That's the other part, is that he's had a lot of injuries in his career. Frankly, a couple of which are just freak landed on like some of the worst ankle injuries you'll ever see, like just landing on a guy in the wrong spot. Wasn't his fault at all. And I think he lost basically a full year for that, if I'm not mistaken. But you never heard through that, oh, he's let down or he's not doing his rehab right or any of that stuff. So from what I understand, I think you're getting a good one from that perspective.
Awesome. Ben, thank you so much. We really appreciate you joining us today and providing some insight. Thank you again for stopping by.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks,
We'll
Ben.
see you next time. You can give Ben a follow on Twitter at Ben_Dowsett. That's DOWSETT. Obviously, listen, I think the number one thing we can all understand here is that we have to make sure our expectations are fair when it comes to guys who are on two-way contracts. Like, they've got a lot of growth and development ahead of them, and they're just being given an opportunity.
Read it, so.
Cameron Stevenson in the chat said, "There's a lot of words to say. Someone sucks."
Damn.
I mean, he didn't have the most glowing things to say about him. He went on about a lot of the reasons why he is inefficient and not yet a good NBA player. But again, I think the Suns are not wrong. First of all, the one thing I keep thinking about is, damn the games. When you get into practice, when you get into training camp, will Udoka at least throw a couple bows at DA to try to firm up his aggressiveness? I feel like the type of dudes that they brought in, especially in the front court, are the type of dudes that are going to get physical with DA. And Vogel doesn't seem like this guy, but I want to feel like the motive might be a little bit there. It's just like, oh, I'm going to make you earn this. Like, I'm going to make you want to find that aggressiveness within you, to pull out, because I feel like that's the one thing that everybody keeps pointing out, is that DA is kind of like Ferdinand the Bull, where he's just like, you never know what you're going to get from game to game, and the aggressiveness is just not where you want it to be on a consistent basis. So with some of these points, I'm like, maybe that's the motive. But again, he's a project, and what's the worst that could happen? He doesn't work out. Okay, cool. It doesn't affect you at all. He clearly has some upside, but I don't put any stock into the two-way players as much, because they're not going to be called upon when you need them the most. They're add-ons for right now, and you hope that you get to develop them into a point where you can use them down the road, but I wouldn't expect too much from them.
And this is also a guy that at Kansas, I mean, he was one of my favorite players to watch in that 2019-2020 season. That team probably would have won the championship if COVID didn't end that season. He's not like a random G League dude. He's got proven talent, so that's another upside. He was bullying people.
Yes.
And I know that's college, but still.
And he still has that capability. Like, he's a two-way guy, so he's not going to see the floor very often. When he does, you put him in pick and roll, you put him in the dunker spot, let him finish off dunks. Defensively, you hope that his long arms in the drop can help him block a couple of shots. So don't drop that dunk to them.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. This
So
guy.
I'm just gonna ignore it. So you made a good point.
Oh,
So
no.
I've defended the Nuggets, and I'm saying Saul had a good point in the same show. But no, your point about practice though is a really good one, because I like what James Jones and this group have done on that front too. They could have signed a bunch of past their prime, older guys that had recognizable names in the back end of the roster, but weren't gonna push these guys. They've got a lot of young, hungry guys in those cases that I think can help in the practice situation where they will push these guys. Nobody's going to get complacent because the back half of this roster is trying to prove itself in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we cannot just gloss over that. That was absolutely ridiculous, Gerald.
Thank you.
I think we're doing exactly what we should right now.
Oh my
Clown.
God.
Come on.
Clown. I mean, come on. Everybody has made a bad one at least this
Has
week.
Gerald even realized?
We got pumpkin porker over here.
What did
Don't
I
even
do?
get me started on you.
Wait, did I say one this
Have you
week?
noticed what's going on?
What's going on?
Look at the screen.
Oh, that's not very nice.
Fucking Shane.
That's not very nice.
I didn't even notice that until I looked up. I was like, what the hell?
I had no idea you had those capabilities. This is concerning.
I love it, to be completely honest with you. I think we should take it to the next level.
Oh my God.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I just could not let us just completely gloss over that one. I had to. I
Okay,
couldn't.
you low-key turning to me and going, don't even get me started with you. Was the kind of dad energy I'm here for.
It was Damian Lee. He pulled out
It was
the
like the
Damian
time you
Lee.
tried to eat your shoe. I was like, put your shoe back on.
Yeah. Then he was sick for a week.
All right. Well,
That's right, he was.
Shoot.
Hold on, that was
He
3
was.
weeks later.
It took 3 weeks to
Was
set
it?
into your system.
Was
No.
it?
That's tough.
No, it's having a 6-year-old that goes to school.
Sure, Espo.
It's always your daughter.
Or,
Was she eating her shoe as well? Was
No,
Throwing her under
she
the
learned
bus.
from daddy not to. Well,
That's
that's on the show. I'm here as a public service announcement to children.
Oh,
All
goodness
right.
gracious. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. This was a funny one in so many different ways. We appreciate you being here. Make sure you give the show a follow on Twitter at PHNX_Suns. You can also follow me at Lindsay Smith AZ. You can follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourget. And of course, you can follow Espo at Espo. Espo, take us home.
Nookie Monster, love you all. Ahoy, ahoy.
Hey yo, my lifestyle is retro. Tell the Phoenix Metro. Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though, Lindsay, Gerald, Espo. Saw past the ball, we here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me, I'll always rep the family. Rally in the valley like Dan G, no plan B. Always on the job, my team move like the mob, turn the beat on.